Hello again. I think we have only one more organization missing, but I'm not sure they will join. So the Practical Society Center, it might not be with us. I've just sent them a reminder, but I think we can start in the meantime. So I wanted to welcome all of you to the webinar and to our discussion today on behalf of our project. With some of you I was already in contact, most of you actually I was already in contact in different contexts. With some of you I've also met face to face. But for those of you who don't know me and don't know our project so well, just wanted to quickly introduce myself. My name is Monica Bucurenciu, and I am the team leader of the Eastern Partnership Civil Society Facility Project, and do a lot of things that you might be aware of, including mainly supporting civil society organizations from the 6 Eastern Partnership countries in their work, and supporting them through capacity buildings and the organization of other events and partnering on their own initiatives. But we also respond to requests coming from the European Commission as such on what they think we could help them with. It can be research or it can be other requests that they have, and this is one of the webinar that we have, the discussion we have now is coming in that context. But before I go into more details, and I pass on the floor to you to tell us more about yourself and your projects, just wanted to say, so I hope you all selected the option where you will be able to use your microphone. Indeed, when you do not want to take the floor, I think it would be much appreciated if you mute your mics so that the others don't hear any background noise. So before starting the proper discussion, maybe it would be nice to have a round of introductions. So if I may start with you, Andrea. If you could tell us more about yourself, your organization, and the project that you're implementing, it would be great.
Hi. Can you hear me well?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm Andrea from the European Values think tank. We are based in Prague, in the Czech Republic. And we have a project focusing on enhancing and sharing lessons learned in resilience and self-protection capability of civil society in Georgia, Ukraine, and Moldova. What does this mean? Basically, we have partners in every country. And we are doing a research on identifying their needs in cybersecurity, information security, and personal security. We are now in the stage of the collecting of incidents and adjusting it to the needs. And the next week, actually, we are having a workshop for all of these countries in Kiev. It will be on the operational security, digital security, also some knowledge of how to fight against disinformation, what are these measures from Central Europe, from here, and and the outcome of the project should be a public report on how to with including some recommendations, what should, let's say, international donors or governments do in terms of make a better environment for these organizations and journalists and for all the civil societies in these countries to work better.
Thank you for that. Two quick questions. Well, when have you started with your project, and when is your project ending?
We started in January, and we are ending in December.
Okay, so it's actually short project. So it's just a 1-year project that you have, and you don't have any financial support to third parties. So you don't do any sub-granting within your project.
No, we don't, but we have these 3 partners in Georgia, Moldova, and Ukraine, and we I don't know how we can call it. Well, we will be paying them a fee for their work as let's say in terms of contractors.
Yeah. Okay, no, that's clear. So I'm asking this particular question because I know it was raised by I think several of you in terms of potential subject to be addressed. So that's why I'm okay. Thank you. Can we go to Anna? Could you tell us a bit about your project quickly and where you are? Oh, maybe you have not selected, it might be that you haven't selected the using your microphone option. Because I can only see the speaker sign, so maybe that's and the same for Batu. Vladimir, what would you recommend that they disconnect and reconnect? How can they do this?
Yes, I think it's better to leave the room and reconnect. If everything is fine with this, the microphone should work.
Okay, so Anna, can you hear us? Are you able to maybe disconnect and then reconnect using the microphone option? Okay, in the meantime, while if you need any help with the technical support, let us know. You can also write in the chat. So then maybe we move on to Batu to tell us a bit about, if you could tell us a bit about your project then and where you are, that would be great.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you online.
Nice to meet you too.
So could you repeat what was the question? I kind of missed it while trying to pick something.
Yeah. So it would be great if you could tell us a bit about the grant that you're implementing. So what countries the project is covering, what are your main activities, and when you started and when you will end your project?
Our project is together with the American Atlantic Council, and it's a digital forensics lab that is doing the research on the Russian propaganda. And on the project details, here with me is Ms. Buziashvili, who is the Georgian counterpart for this project. So she will give you the outline of the program and the duration. Is that so?
Hi everyone, it's Eto speaking. Nice to meet you here.
Nice to meet you too.
Basically, what are we doing? So it's a 1-year project, at least, but we of course are looking forward to expand it. We're doing 2 things here in Georgia, of course covering Russian disinformation propaganda. And first, we're writing weekly pieces on our work, and second, but we're not training only, but around the world. So we're currently expanding Caucasus, It's been 3 months, actually in March, we currently started it, and we're searching for other researchers as well because, disinformation and propaganda, Russian-related in Caucasus is really big stuff and one person cannot do everything. So we're searching other opportunities to expand and to find new researchers who will be well skilled in open source intelligence and who know the region and who will help us in covering all the Russian disinformation. So currently our pieces are very popular. For example, we've been covering the anti-LGBT narratives that are spreading now, and we are citing by Reuters, by Institute for War and Peace reporting. So it's one of the indicators that almost 3 months job is somehow loud and voicey. So to do more, we need more resources. So yeah, of course, we're actually working on 5 continents now, and we are also trying to focus on elections that is coming in 2020 in Georgia. But unfortunately, we have some budget restrictions because, for example, the budget currently that we have only covers my salary and some office expense during the week, but we do not have anything to help the second researcher first to find a second researcher and to cover his or her salary. Actually, currently we're going through the hiring process, and we've been receiving hundreds of CVs from all around the world, especially from the Caucasus region. And we're trying to limit and narrow down the list. Currently, we're focusing on 3 people. But the process, we wanted to hire a couple of them a month ago, but because of some budget issues and because of some internal stuff, we're kind of stopped. So this is what are we doing, and this is what the Planning Council of Georgia, our resource and needs. Thanks.
Good, great, thank you so much. Thank you for that. Esther, would you be able to tell us more about the ECNL project and what you will be doing in the context of the grant? Oh, sorry, just one. I realized I have one question to the Atlantic Council, the Georgian Atlantic Council. You also do not have any regranting, right? Any third-party support, financial support to third parties. You don't have that either. Basically giving smaller grants to other organizations.
Because of its like the expanding, and then we can think of having third parties or support.
I couldn't hear you very well. Would you mind repeating that, because it was very connection I think was interrupted for a while.
So right now it's a small grant, so we are only we are trying to build a partnership with the other organizations who are doing similar jobs, but with from a different angle, because there are the Media Development Fund and some McCain Institute does with EPR. So this Russian propaganda disinformation issue from their own standpoint. But since our resources are limited, the coordination only we do not just an ad hoc meetings with them and to get to understanding what they do. There is an overlap, but in the future it will expand. Of course, we will be thinking of having the third parties engaged.
Okay. Okay, thank you for that. So for now, no, but you might have that in the future. Esther?
Hello, everyone. Let me also welcome everyone. It's Esther Harter from the European Center for Not-for-Profit Law. Can you hear me well?
Yes, very well, thank you.
So we, as the organization, has been working for a better legal environment for civil society organizations, and we have a 4-year project started in 2017. It's called Monitoring Progress, Empowering Action project, and the main objective is basically to strengthen and promote civil society's role in reforms and democratic changes, and we work in all these 6 countries with partners. ECNI is the coordinator of this project. And in terms of the specific objective, we aim to contribute to to a better CSO environment, and also to strengthen CSO's capacity to promote reforms. And as part of this, we have been working on a monitoring tool, which we call CSO Meter. You find more information. You might have heard about it, but you find more information on our website. We launched it early this year, and we are now in the process of piloting it. It's basically a tool to assess both the legal environment and its practical implementation on enabling environment in the 6 countries, and country partners are developing country reports based on this tool that will be that is happening this year. And based on that, we are going to develop also regional reports, and next year we'll work on assessing how it was implemented and whether there is any need to adjust the tool. So this is just very briefly like what the project is about.
Thank you so much. And also no sub-granting for now. Or no, none of that. Yeah. So you, well, your project I know a little bit more about. So
okay. Yeah.
As you know, yeah. Thanks a lot for that. So your project will end in 2020 or
yes, end of next year. Yes.
End of 2020. Yeah, because I think your project is more or less has the same timeline as our project. So thanks a lot for that, Irina.
Hello everyone, my name is Irina Boboc. I work for the Romanian Platform of Development NGOs. I'm here with my colleague Alexandra Duică. Hello everyone, glad to be here today. As I mentioned, I work for FOND Romania. At FOND, we have an initiative called the Black Sea NGO Forum, which we started in 2008. Which has evolved from a networking event into a sort of a more structured informal network. Our project is focused on strengthening CSO's capacity from the Black Sea region to develop partnerships, joint initiatives, and regional networks, and increase their visibility by strengthening the Black Sea NGO Forum as a mechanism of support. The project will be implemented on 3 years. It started in January this year, and it will end in December 2021. The project has as main components the internal consolidation of the Black Sea NGO Forum and its structures, evaluating the strategic framework for civil society cooperation in the Black Sea region, building the capacity of CSOs and CSO leaders in the Black Sea region through several instruments, such as the Mobility Fund for CSO experts, and Leadership and Organizational Development Program. Another component is to support the Black Sea NGO Forum working groups to develop regional initiatives and networks, and this will be done through a sub-granting scheme. Also we have planned a program on mentoring and training for startup of networks. And the final component is centered around increasing the visibility of the forum and of the CSOs in the region by organizing visibility events in Brussels and promoting the forum and CSOs in the region in international and regional fora.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for that. Thank you very much for all your presentations and for sharing with all of us what you're currently working on. I have a very short presentation, but it's really more to open up the discussion about how we could support you more than anything. It's not really let's say, knowledge from me to you at this stage. In any case, I wanted to give you a little bit the context of this whole thing. So basically, this is the webinar the discussion that we're organizing today is coming in the context in which the European Commission was asking our project to support all of the EU-funded regional grantees working on the Eastern Partnership region through webinars, and what the initial request was mentioning were things like webinars on the usual things that you would expect, so contractual, financial aspects, reporting, communication, more or less. That was it. However, when I received the list of grantees from the Commission, and I saw your organizations basically, I knew, I think, all of them. I realized that obviously you have a lot of capacity in terms of organizations, so it's not, it doesn't make sense for us to provide you with the kind of standard training that you provide to small civil society organizations who are getting EU funding for the first time. So that obviously doesn't make sense in this context. And this is why we are proposing now to have more of a community of practice approach, where we basically facilitate the discussions between EU as grantees who are working in the same region, who are implementing EU funding in different countries, and who are sometimes overlapping maybe of some of either the approaches you have, because a lot of you apparently work on research, which I wasn't aware of before, either the approach that you have or the actual topics that you are addressing. So based on today's discussion is really the whole objective is to get to know each other a bit better, and then based on the experience that you shared, that you can share with us, it would be, then I would be able to take a proposal to the European Commission in terms of our support to you that would make more sense. Now, obviously, the challenge here is that some of you have very short projects and you're already in the middle of those projects. So maybe, we need to think about how we can target support there. While others obviously have started their projects some time ago. So again, there is a challenge maybe in terms of alignment. I received, I was in discussions with some of you via email, or I had some bilateral calls as well, on what you think you would need. And I wanted to tell you about the feedback that I was able to collect so far and to get your reactions on that. But basically, today, as I was saying, it's just a matter of understanding a bit better where are the areas where you would need expert support, where do you think it makes more sense to have individual expert support versus maybe common webinars. And there were some questions from the ECNL. There was a very pertinent question on whether local partners are involved in this community of practice, or whether this should be more for the leads applicants, the leaders of the grant. And obviously, taking into account the different timelines that you have for your projects, it would be good if we could maybe discuss and agree on some sort of timing for the activities that we would have with community of practice and the support that we would be giving you. In terms of the feedback I had so far, and I was insisting on the issue of the financial support to third parties, because following a discussion I had with the Prague Civil Society Center, I was under the partly wrongly, most all of your projects would have this sub-granting component, which is obviously not the case. And I know also from my previous experience that this is something that raises a lot of questions, and where basically the Commission is giving lead applicants a lot of freedom, but then sometimes that freedom is quite difficult to manage, in the sense that you are a bit left in the dark with your third parties, with your sub-grantees, and there aren't so many clear instructions or guidelines or how to do this part. So I thought this is something that would be common to all of your projects, but it is obviously not the case. So from what I can see, it's basically it's fund that has this component, and then the Prague Civil Society Center. So then maybe we can think of a way in which we could just have trilateral discussions in this. Yeah, if for the others it's something that is not as relevant. And based on the discussion that I had with the Prague Civil Society Center, so they were suggesting things like exchanging on how to measure the impacts of the sub-grants of the sub-grantees that you have. What are best practice in terms of calls for grantees? What are, how do others do contracting for sub-grantees, or how do they make sure that the communication aspect is properly covered? And then the last thing that always I think is kind of haunting everyone who is ever dealing with financial support to third parties, report financially to the European Commission on the activities of the sub-grantees. So that is one potential area to explore, and but as I said, my feeling is that it's relevant for only 2 of the organizations. But you're more than welcome to react on that later. And then based on and thank you, Esther, for sharing that. So based on the feedback I got from ECNL, I think it was via the Armenian partners, if I remember correctly. So the Armenian partners in that project, they were sharing sort of a whole list of subjects that they thought they might benefit from, such as online and new media technologies, and monitoring and evaluation of public policies, everything related to public outreach and media relations, again, communication and negotiations, and international funding opportunities for CSOs. Our project is actually working on a lot of these subjects. It's not, I think that it's not necessarily something that we would do in the context of this community of practice for regional grantees. It's something that we would do more in the context of other project components that we have. For example, we have a series of capacity building activities for wider civil society. We had a digital competencies course that just ended, where we had a mix of online content and face-to-face training. So, and we will have other courses coming on sectoral accountability for civil society organizations. So a lot of those things that are relevant for civil society in general, not for you as lead applicants for EU grants, we will be covering in other ways, basically through other activities that we have in the project. And the same with entrepreneurial activities and how to start that. So through our ad hoc support, in fact, we are now supporting the Social Impact Award in Armenia. There will be some more activities that we will have on social entrepreneurship, covering, I think, 5 of the 6 countries. So again, it's open for discussion to see what of the bullet points that are on the slides, what you think would be relevant. A last bullet point, which I know is very important and is probably on everyone's minds, is the financial and contractual aspects. And this was mentioned also by Fond, but as well as other organizations who are benefiting from grants. Here we are, of course, in a tricky situation, in the sense that we can only act as liaison if you need some sort of liaison in addition, or coordination point because some of the contractual aspects or legal aspects can only be fully clarified by the European Commission itself, obviously, but we can try to facilitate that process, or maybe go to them with a series of common questions or challenges that you're facing, and try to kind of make to reduce their burden in terms of getting back to different organizations on these issues, and also clarify and discuss with you what are the common problems that you have in this respect. So as I was saying, that I would really appreciate to have your reaction on not only these areas that are listed here, but also on the type that this support can be, that the way in which this support can actually be provided, because we could have common webinars where we can discuss some of these issues in more detail, or bring in additional experts who might be able to, let's say, have a small training on specific aspects. We could also have a help desk function where the support we have is a lot more customized, or basically then you would be coming with your particular very specific problem to that help desk, and you would get some information, the information that you need, or expert advice on that particular problem. So it wouldn't be a general training, but really looking at the issue that you are facing in your project. And it can be a mix of both, of course. So I was thinking that it would be great if we could actually do another quick round to get your feedback on the bullet points that are on this slide, as well as on what you think might be the right approach for your organization and your project. Andrea, maybe would you like to react on that?
Yeah, thank you for the briefing on the bullet points. Well, so far, as we are new with you, and this is basically our first project with you as well, so we would definitely maybe need some guidance in reporting, in using this online system, maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
And then definitely we would have some questions regarding, financial support and to the budget itself. And then let's say how we can make our project also maybe sustainable, or maybe also if there is a possibility to extend it or to also change it a little bit. And yeah, so that would be it from our side for now.
Yeah, and would you think that it makes sense to have more common webinars, or would you rather think that the help desk would help you more? If you could actually go to one person and ask them, okay, we have this specific issue, because I think that my feeling is that well, for example, on reporting and the online system, maybe that makes sense to have a webinar on that with maybe some involvement from the EU side if they can as well. But then on other issues, obviously, that have to do with extending or changing your project, or any kind of legal implications, that would probably would be mostly through, let's say, done through more of a help desk function, right? Mm-hmm. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense like this.
Thank you for that. Patu?
Sorry.
Sorry.
It's
sure. Yeah. Yes, please go ahead.
Elaborate more on the communication and negotiations bullets. Particularly in the context of advocacy and fundraising. And we have a question regarding monitoring the evaluation of the state policies. This bullet. Can you please elaborate on these two bullets?
Yeah, sure. This was, as I was saying, this was coming as suggestions from Medianel, so maybe Esther can also add on that. the way I read those 2 bullet points was that it would be really that the local partners in Armenia feel the need for more trainings on how to basically do advocacy and fundraising and how to use some of the negotiation strategies that are out there and kind of, I guess, have more knowledge of the negotiations theories and methods that can be applied to this advocacy and fundraising context. That was my understanding. But as I said, this is just really a collection of the things that I got in as feedback. And monitoring and evaluation of state policies, I think this is actually quite a standard thing that the EU is all working on and is encouraging, well, civil society organizations to work on. So, and it covers quite a wide range of things, but it would really, I imagine it is about, supporting civil society organizations on things such as, monitoring the, maybe it's the local budgets, or keep track of legislative changes, or looking at the quality of social service provision and how things are done. And in the context of our own project, we will have to work on what will be called sectoral accountability for civil society organizations. So there we will be trying to develop a course either on sectoral issues, probably energy or environment, giving civil society organizations in the 6 countries more information about the regulatory aspects that they need to be aware of. For example, if there is a regulatory agency in their countries regulating issues on environment and energy, but also kind of giving them information about the potential entry points that they may have in terms of the decisions that are taken on energy and environment and other sectoral issues, and how to do a proper let's say advocacy campaign, or proper monitoring of legislation, of the implementation of legislation in these areas. But as I said, this is coming from ECNL, so maybe Esther, you would like to add, you've been in contact with your local partners, I imagine, on this.
Yeah, I mean, I would just only add that they have been providing feedback based on the researches and feedbacks from other organizations, what would be helpful for civil society in Armenia. So it's basically just topics for the broader civil society,
yes,
and not specifically for the Armenian partners. So as I understand, now these webinars would only target basically the organizations who have the project. So it seems that it would be redundant for now. But it would be actually helpful. Thanks for Monica for clarifying that there are also other projects which might cover some of these topics. So it would be actually helpful to maybe receive it as a follow-up email, just that we can forward it to our partners and maybe they can reach out and say, like, these are the other opportunities for this type of support.
Sure. Yes, I would be very happy to do that. I think we will have, and in general, I would be very happy to share with all of you the trainings that we have, the courses that we have, and the activities that we have within our project as well. Because, as I said, a lot of what we are doing in our 4 years, so we're already midway, is about capacity building for wider civil society. And in a way, I was actually quite happy with the list that you were sending from the Armenian partner, because it's very much what we are already working on. But indeed, the purpose of these webinars and the purpose of this community of practice would be really to focus on the needs of the EU regional grantees. And that's why I wanted to have this discussion to understand really what your specific needs are. So the general needs of civil society organizations in the regions, well, we also looked at that at the beginning of the project. We had a sort of needs analysis, and some of the things that most of the capacity building that we are proposing is based on that needs analysis. So it's good to see a confirmation of that. But so I don't know, does that answer your question to some extent? I think I think it was, could you remind me, I see only Badu, so I don't know the name of the other person who is...
Eto.
Okay, sorry for that. Yeah, so does that partly answer your question?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, it was actually, both of us wanted to hear more about those two bulletins. Thank you very much for that.
So would you have, and in terms of your reaction to the bullet points there and the approach that would make more sense for you, how do you see things? So out of the things that are listed there, what is something that would really help you in the implementation of the regional project that you have? Is there anything?
Actually, those two things were the two major things that attracted our attention, because I think that there is a really big need of communication and negotiation stuff, particularly in context of this fundraising and advocacy. It would be something really important for us.
Is it something that you feel you would need as an organization yourself, or is it something that you think more that the civil society that you're working with would need?
I mean, it's a problem. It's an issue in Georgia in general. So I think that both.
Okay.
And others. Yeah.
And monitoring of public policies as well. That was also something. Okay. I mean, the way. What we will probably end up doing so that we don't, with our project, we don't waste your time, but we actually help you, is to engage some of your organizations in the activities that we have for the wider civil society. For example, on things like monitoring and evaluation of public policies, it makes sense to do that because we will have to do that anyways for the wider civil society. On some things that are very specific to you as regional grantee, we could have some maybe 2 or 3 common webinars where it would really be kind of looking at reporting. How do you do reporting now? They have the online, apparently there's an online system that the EU is using now. I wasn't aware of that, I have to say. So how do you use that? How do you think about your impact? How do you make sure that the reporting that you are producing is in line with what the EU is expecting? I'm sure this will be relevant for all of you. And then in addition to that, we can have this one-on-one help desk function, or let's say individual expert support on very specific issues if you need. So through our project, we can actually hire non-key experts with very specific technical expertise if you need. It just needs to be, and I'm sure that the Commission would be very happy for us to provide you with this. So I think there are many ways in which we can cover this, and we can work on the issues that are on your mind.
Perfect.
Thanks a lot for that. Esther, would you like to react, to say how you see things, both in terms of areas, topics to cover, and approach?
Yes, thanks a lot. Yes, I mean, from our perspective, what's important that also our partners are involved in the discussions. That's why I was raising if it's only us as coordinator, or if it's possible to get them on board as well, because they are the local organizations who are actually on the ground, and as I understand, the facility also aims to actually target them. So I'm not sure if I understood correctly, if it's possible or not.
It's up for discussion. So it's one of the things, so following the question that you sent me, it was one of the things that I really wanted to discuss with all of you today. We can do it. We can do whatever is needed. So we can definitely engage the local partners, invite them to the webinars that we have. I think it might be that the help desk function that we will offer will have to somehow go through you as lead applicant, simply to manage the workload and the number of things that might be coming. But for sure, nobody would object. We would be more than happy to involve the local partners in the common webinars, in the trainings and activities that we have for wider civil society organizations. So, in fact, if you don't have any issues with that, I would really like to invite all of you to share with me the contact details of your local partners, so that we can engage them and we can keep them informed about what is happening, and we basically take it from there. The only thing that there is only, let's say, challenge that I see to that. So there are some things that will be very specific to you as lead applicants. There are some, I know that at least some of you also wanted to discuss about how to manage the relationship that you have with your local partners, how to manage the relationship that you have with your sub-grantees. So obviously, in that context, it might not make sense to have them on board, because it's really supposed to be a space for completely open, free discussion, where you can say, okay, this is like, we had this problem with the local partner, and you don't have to point fingers or blame anyone, but you should have as lead applicants the space also to talk about what is not working, even within your setup. And to exchange with the others and see what other solutions were found by others in other projects. So again, I thought what will be most practical would be to have a case-by-case approach. So for some of the things, like if we have a webinar on how to do reporting, I think the local partners should definitely be invited. If there are some other more sensitive issues that you would like to discuss, maybe some contractual issues, maybe then you should be the one as lead applicant discussing this. So it's also up to you how you want to manage it. But as I said, I think for us, the mandate that we got, or the mandate that I understood we got from the Commission, was to create also this space for the lead applicants who are implementing regional grants to be able to say really what are the issues that they're facing, and exchange amongst each other, and ask for our support on how to address these problems. So I think, let's share with me the contact details that you have from all your local partners. So not only USR, but all of, I'll be happy to keep them involved, and a case-by-case basis where it makes sense to have them, and where it maybe doesn't make as much sense.
Yeah, that would be perfect. Thanks a lot. You're thinking about the program people, right? Not the financial.
Yeah, well, again, if all of you say we really need to have some, what we can do is, well, we can obviously hire an expert to organize a webinar on that, or even better, try to convince the European Commission to have someone from their finance and contracts joining the webinar for an hour, and maybe responding to some of the issues that you are facing. So we can have some things. Most of the things will probably be for the operationals, both on the lead applicant side and the local partner side. But obviously, if there are legal contractual issues, then you would need to get your finance and contracts people involved as well. Yeah. Okay, so you can feel free to share both. But just mentioning who is who.
Okay, that makes lots of sense. Thanks a lot. And yes, I mean, I can follow up with them. They have a better understanding of, about the context of what you have in mind. I think in general, I think reporting is, of course, something which will definitely be helpful, at any point. So if you organize a webinar on that, I think it's interesting to join. I wanted to ask also, what other types of support you typically, which areas or what types of support you typically provide, just that we understand what are the possibilities,
Yeah. I mean, as a project, we cover quite a lot of things. We have a big component on e-learning, and we will be organizing a series of blended courses, mostly, so mixing online and face-to-face content. As I said, we had these digital competencies for civil society organizations that just ended, and a lot of the materials are available on our e-learning platform, but I think for now they are available only to the course participants, but we are working on making this available to the wider public. So we will also have videos from our trainings and so on, and there you will have, if you want, sort of videos that discuss many topics, mostly of a technical nature. So what are the tools that exist out there, the new things that you can use digital tools, that can actually make your life as a civil society organization better, in terms of your internal organization, in terms of how you deal with your beneficiaries and how you reach out to the wider public, how you do your own capacity building. We did this. We do a lot of this kind of things. We will have a storytelling course for civil society organizations that we have to launch by the end of this month. And there, as I think, it's quite clear from the title that we will be trying to support civil society organizations to get a better understanding of storytelling techniques and how they can apply that in their daily work to make sure that their communication is more efficient and effective. And we will have another course coming on leadership for civil society organizations, and again it will be blended, so probably a mix of leadership retreats and online content that will be developed specifically for the region. And this course that I was mentioning that we have to produce at the request of the EU on sectoral accountability for civil society organizations, most likely on energy. If that looks too difficult, we might actually shift to environment. So we have this part. Then we have a whole part on communication, and I see that Elena is with us. She is the communication expert on the project, and we are, if needed, we are of course able to provide trainings on communication, and we have already provided trainings on communication and visibility aspects. We also have, and I think some of you may know because we were in contact, we have this big ad hoc support part, which basically means that we can support both civil society organizations in general and the EU, either delegations or headquarters, on whatever they need, as long as it's basically strengthening civil society in the region. And we had, for example, we were organizing for the EU delegations webinars for their grantees on project management, on communication and visibility. I think some of it was on reporting as well. It was before I joined the project. So we had this, and I think we had several of them. So we had in Armenia this kind of webinars and trainings. We had them in Georgia also. So we have quite a lot of flexibility in terms of what we can do. We are a technical assistance. We are not a grant. So we are supposed to very much respond to the needs coming from society and the Commission. So within obviously our terms of reference, we can actually do a lot of things, and we have been doing a lot of capacity building already. And I'm more than happy to share with you what we have coming, because as I said, it might make a lot of sense for your local partners to join, or even for you as a lead applicant if you think it can be of use. For example, when we had this digital competencies course now, we had someone from the Eastern Partnership Civil Society Forum Secretariat joining us because they thought it might be useful for them, although they by now also have quite a lot of capacity. We are trying to bring expertise that is from the region, and when needed, we also bring international expertise on some things. So, we're basically there, we're basically here for you. So whatever you think you might benefit from, you can tell us. And in general, we find a way of providing it, even if sometimes it may take a little bit longer with all the processes we have on our side as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is very helpful. So as I said, if you can like send maybe like just a follow-up email of this and like what is coming up, I can also circulate it among our partners and see if there is any like if they want to join any of this, or if there is anything missing, what they suggest to bring on the agenda of this of this webinar or in-person support, and this would help to get more targeted feedback from them.
Yeah.
As well. So.
Yeah, that would be great. I think in any case, following the discussion of today, my proposal to the Commission would be to have a first webinar on reporting and to try to get someone from their side to attend the webinar also to tell you about their expectations, because I was also on their side, and you can always have external experts to tell you a lot of things about how things are done in general, and some of the things can be very useful, but at the end of the day, it's important for you to understand what their expectations are and what are the things that they're looking for. So I would definitely try to convince them to join us if we have this kind of webinars in the near future. So Irina? Any reaction, comments? I know you also sent me by email some of the things that you thought would be useful. Thanks for that.
Yes. Well, I just wanted to say that this is the first time that we are lead applicants on a project. And therefore, for us, it will be also useful to have some trainings also on the more operational aspects. As I mentioned, the acquisitions from the financial management, it will be really useful, as you mentioned, and others have mentioned, how to manage financial support to third parties. I understand that is not an area for all grantees, but for us it will be important. Reporting has been mentioned already. Also, it will be useful to also have a training maybe in applying the communication and visibility rules of the European Commission. So this will be on the more operational side. On the more related on the content, for us as well, it's really great to know what opportunities the civil society facility will have in the near future, both for us as grantees, but also to see if some of our forum participants could benefit from these opportunities. Here I have a question related to the organizations that could access these opportunities from the civil society facility. We are covering not only the Eastern Partnership countries, but also Russia and Turkey. We're covering Black Sea Synergy countries, and I just wanted to know if organizations from Russia or Turkey could attend some of the courses, or only for the Eastern Partnership organizations.
Well, it's let's say that there is no. Well, there is a mixed answer to that. So it's a yes and no, in the sense that if it doesn't cost us more as a project to add them. For example, if it's just a matter of sending them a link and they could join a webinar, I don't think this will be a problem for us. Mm-hmm. If it is about us covering for costs, go to another country for a face-to-face training, that we cannot do. So we cannot incur costs for civil society organizations that are outside of the Eastern Partnership region. So that's pretty clear. But I mean, having said that, of course, the online things that we have and that will be open for everyone, I don't think that would be a problem. No.
Mm-hmm. Great. Also related to the more content part, we had a question, or maybe, it would be useful to address also how to include cross-cutting issues in our activities. For example, the gender equality, gender balance, and so on, besides the usual how many women and how many men, but
gender mainstreaming, basically.
Because I know this is a thing that we should be reporting on as well. We should take into consideration. Also, as we have this specificity of, the forum is an informal network, and we also work with the working group to encourage them to create regional networks. Topic would interesting for us would be how to engage with your membership or your constituency or target group. Also, this relates, I think it relates a little bit with advocacy, but it's more broad, how to engage with stakeholders. And on the communication part, it would be useful to have a topic on how to design and carry out the communication campaign. I believe that these, the last three things I mentioned can also benefit other civil society organizations, not only us as grantees.
So it's actually, and I'm sure also noticed that. So our course on digital competencies, in fact, included a module on how to engage with your constituencies and how to engage with your stakeholders. And we had another module on communication, and we had a specific part on how to design and carry out a communication campaign. We can definitely share with you some, I think, very useful materials we have from that training. And as I said, you will, if you're interested, it's not yet available, but we will also have short videos from the trainings that will help with that. We know that it's something that is very much needed and is very useful for civil society organizations. And I think it was quite successful when we were including it in our digital competences course. The other thing I wanted to mention, so based on the request that we had from the Commission, the regional grantees had a special status in the sense that they were the ones that were supposed to benefit from these things most. But then the other information we got from the Commission was that we can actually, if some things are of common interest, we can include some of the bilateral grantees of the EU delegations in the things that we are doing. So after the discussion that we have today, I think I will try to put together a short framework of how this could work, because what I have in mind is for months maybe, because it's the first time that you are implementing this kind of EU grant, it might make sense for you to join some of the more general trainings that will be done for the bilateral grantees, maybe for other regional grantees to make less sense. So it's really a matter of, we have a lot of flexibility, as I said. So for some, maybe won't join the bilateral webinar. For others, you will be able to exchange with your regional counterparts. For other things, you can already maybe make use of the things that we've produced and let us know actually what you think about them and if you think they are useful for you and your members in the forum. So there are a lot of things. It's a matter of putting all of this together. There are a lot of resources out there already, some of them produced by others, some of them produced by us. It's really a matter of creating a framework for all of this to come together. But it's really useful. Thanks a lot for what you told me in terms of what you would like to and what you think is useful for you as an organization as well as your members in the forum.
Thank you.
And I'm actually quite sorry that we didn't think about promoting this digital competencies course via your your network as well. So I think from now on, because it would have been, I'm sure a lot of your members would have been interested to apply. So I think from now on, I will also try to, I don't want to spam any of you, but I will also try to keep you a lot more informed about what we are doing in other project components. So you can make sure that you reach out to your local partners and to your members, and they can benefit from all that.
That would be great. Thank you.
Okay, definitely. So what I will do is, based on the discussion, which for me was very useful, I hope for you it was as well. Based on the discussion we had today, I will send a follow-up email with the main conclusions. I will share with you some maybe some information that we already have about things that we've done and things that are upcoming. And I will also need to get back with the Commission to propose to them how to make all of these things come together. So who would maybe be interested to join some of the more common discussions with the bilateral grantees, who would need to have more customized support, for example, on financial support to third parties. Maybe it makes sense just to have Fund and the Prague Civil Society together, maybe the Eastern Partnership Civil Society Forum, in a kind of a mini to discuss these issues. And for sure, one thing is quite clear to me now, that the next step will need to be a webinar on reporting. Also because some of you are in the middle of your projects, and some of you have very short projects ending in December. So this will be very relevant very soon. Okay. Is there anything else that anyone would like to add? Any questions that you might have? Anything else at all?
Fine from our side. Thank you very much. Let's keep in touch on those.
Great. Thank you. Yes, Andreas, you wanted to say?
No, I just want to, I'm looking forward to more details.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot to all of you. I know that, you've taken more than 1 hour of your time to be here for discussion. So I really appreciate that, and we'll do our best to make this useful for you. And feel free to contact me on, if you have, after the meeting today, if you realize that you forgot to say something, that you have other ideas, or your local partners or members come up with other suggestions, please share them with me, and we'll try to follow up to the extent that we can and as soon as we can on this. Thanks a lot, and you should receive an email from me, if not today, tomorrow, on the discussion we had.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.